have suggested that President Tinubu's political decisions and counter decisions are both a cause for concern and a potential threat to Nigeria's democracy. Broadly, tell us more.
Well, I have said it and I maintain, Charles, there's no democracy in Nigeria today. Nigeria today is not a democratic country. Let's stop telling ourselves lies. If you look at all the tenets, look at all the yardstick of measuring democracy, it doesn't exist here. Simple definition, democracy is government of the people, by the people, for the people. Today, the government we have is not of the people. It's not by the people because the people didn't vote. It wasn't their votes. I'm not just talking about presidency. Across the line, look at what happened in Edo. Can you call that democracy? It is not vote of the people. And it's not for the people. For a country that just spent 21 billion naira to renovate a house for the vice president, which is not, hasn't packed in, is not living there. And you cannot even have a primary school for kids who are going to be leaders of Nigeria tomorrow. For people who pass through the same process, tonight deny these kids this opportunity today. So it is not a democratic country. So it's not for the people. You can't have a democracy without a functional and effective legislature, which you know we don't have today. You can't have a democracy without, again, an independent judiciary that fights for the common person. I can go on and on. In a democracy, it is clear. There's guidelines. Even when you set for people vying for election, like in Nigerian case, you have to talk about people must be qualified. They must have primary school, secondary school, university, and must attain certain age. Charles, that is not happening today. People are with unverified, forged certificates all over the place, criminal records and everything, and they're in charge. So you cannot say that. It is, yes, maybe we're striving to be a democratic country, but the way we are today is not. Look at what happened in Rivers that you mentioned. Can you call that democracy?
Nigeria may be a faltering democracy, but nevertheless it is a democracy. And one of the hallmarks for assessing that democracy is freedom of speech, and the fact that you can sit here and criticize the government and be quite, forceful in your criticism, forthright, that is a manifestation of at least a measure of democracy.
Charles, I can tell you that even me is being harassed every day. There's no freedom of speech. And you know that yourself, Charles. And I can tell you, and there's so many people who are being detained in one place or the other because they've made one statement or anything.
Well, I haven't been harassed, to be fair. But
yes, yes, maybe you've not been, but I have been.
Well, that's unfortunate.
So I can tell you that even that doesn't exist. But we're not, when you say, yes, he exists, Charles, when you go for an exam and you score 10%, it's a fail. I'm just giving you the real measure of democracy. We failed in all of them. So it doesn't exist.
What do you anticipate to be the negative consequences of that threat to democracy that you talk about? What track is Nigeria heading towards as a result? And how damaging might that be? And how would you suggest Nigerians go about counteracting that?
You know where we're headed. It will get worse. And when it gets worse, we're now going to threaten to a state of nature, of anarchy, where anybody can do anything you want. Everything is collapsing. Even when the people who are supposed to be seeing it are not seeing it. But you can see the negative impact in all the critical areas.
Nigeria does not have a democracy today. Let us don't fool ourselves. Nigeria doesn't have a democracy today. That's Peter Obi's assessment of the democracy that we currently practice in Nigeria. Whether or not you agree with him, he said that the democracy that we have, or the government rather, that we have today, is not of the people, not by the people, and not for the people. Do you agree with his assessment that the current government that we have, whether it's federal, whether it's state, but especially the federal, is not of you, not of the people, and not by the people, meaning that you didn't elect this particular government, and not for the people, meaning that the government is not working for you? Do you agree with his assessment? Since we don't have a democracy, because the yardstick with which you measure a democracy, we don't have those yardstick. It talks about the end point of this lack of law and order in Nigeria, where democracy does not work, where it leads to anarchy. Do you agree with him on that? He says we're not a democratic country. A lot of people have alleged that Nigeria is working towards a one-party country. He talks about our leaders being people who have been accused of forging documents and forging certificates with criminal records. I like the fact that he took a subtle swipe at Bola Tinubu without calling his name. But do you agree with the assessment of it? Now, before we go into breaking down all the things that he said and diving deep into the points that he raised, the nuggets he mentioned, whether or not you are pro Tinubu or pro APC, or whether or not you are anti Tinubu and anti this government and anti APC, the question is this government working for you? Or were you the one that voted this government in? But if you're meeting this content for the first time, please like, share, and subscribe. If you've been following this channel and you've not yet subscribed, please do so. Subscribe so we can continue to reach out to you with content like this. But we also want to sensitize more Nigerians, preparing everyone towards 2027 election, especially so that we elect the kind of leaders that we want, that would work for us, that will be by us, that will be of us, and that will serve us. The key word here is serving us. But remember to watch this to the end, because it's important, because the questions that you and I would have to ask and answer, some of these questions are some of the things that you feel you know already that might be rhetorical because you've talked about them in your private gatherings and with your family members and friends. But again, this channel is about bringing things in the open so that you and I and everybody else in the comment section have a dialogue, and then decide and agree whether or not our voices are heard. So this is about you and I having this channel, having these conversations, and providing solutions on how we can fix our nation. Because for far too long, we've been very, very dormant and very inactive. So we're coming out with our activities now. But let's get right into it. Do you agree with him that Nigeria does not have a democracy right now, that we are not a democratic country? That we're not a democratic country? Do you accept that assessment? Because a democracy is where you have a working judiciary, a legislature, an electoral system that works, where people go to the poll and they vote and their votes are counted, where your schools work, where you can call government officials to account and they will listen. So, but by his own assessment and by your own assessment, if you agree, are these parameters actually available and are they working in Nigeria? If you have to grade this government, do you think this is a democratic government, owing to the fact that we saw what just happened in Rivers State? Do we have a working legislature that we can use to assess and say our legislature is working and they've not relinquished their powers and their authorities to the executive? Or our judiciary is free from interference? Do you agree with that assessment from Peter Obi? Remember, it says the democracy that we have, or the government rather that we have, is not of the people or by the people and is not working for the people. So many people, so many other people in the comment sections on other videos have actually said that Nigeria does not have a democracy. Do you concur with that? It was Tinubu, it was Daily Farrell to me that mentioned this last time, that the guardrails that would hold a society together have been removed. So, and he just emphasized as well that we're working towards the state of anarchy. But the question I want to ask you, are we already in that state of anarchy where we do what concerns us? We take laws into our hands. Look at the Uromi killing recently. Look at the banditry that happened in all over the country. Look at the guy. I put a video recently about a guy who was killed, the brigade guy that was killed, and the Christian guy that was killed in Abuja. Do we have a country right now where there's a law and order? Do you agree that we have an enforcement agent that follows the rules of law or the rule of law? If there's still an existence of one, do you agree with that assessment? Because if we don't have a functional legislature, we don't have a functional judiciary, we don't have a functional law enforcement, we don't have a functional healthcare system, are we really in a democracy? The Charles, the interviewer, also mentioned that some people will say you're not right because you have freedom of speech because you're criticizing the government. And Peter Obi said, I have been harassed and attacked several times, and I get that every day. Do you also get the same thing as well? So when you speak up, because we've seen very many situations where people speak up, criticize government, the TikToker that got arrested, the one that criticized the police, even Amoyele Shora. Remember that man that came on TV and said, whatever Peter Obi gets, that's what is coming for him. His name is, I think it's Felix Morka. He said that. So if people at this level who are very high on the echelon of the upper echelon of the country, when they speak up, they get clamped down. For us, normal Nigerians, everyday Nigerians, do we believe that we have that freedom to speak up and not be suppressed? Remember the girl that Raya girl that spoke up against the Tinubu government. I called Tinubu a terrible government. Remember the incident of the lady from NYC that said to us, "You go take down the video, shut up your mouth. Do you know who you're talking to?" Is that the kind of government that we have or democracy that we have, where we're shut down? Don't forget the case of Alex Ekweche, the man, the rep man in the National Assembly, who said he was going to make a man disappear and nothing will happen. Or the Toke Benson lady, the tourism minister in Lagos State that told somebody else he was going to lose his job because he disagreed with him. So I only mentioned this just to ask, to say, based on his point, is he right to say that we don't have a functioning democracy right now? I'm asking all of these questions because I can just go on a rant, but this channel is about me and you and everyone else in the comment section, making sure that we're part of that solution so that we can refer videos like this to others so that they can watch and we can start the sensitization. Remember, what we want is a vocal youth, vocal people, a nation, people who can speak up, because until we demand the kind of change that we want, it will be very, very hard to get the sort of change that we want to see in our country. And the truth is that we must make sure we do that. Do you see? So there's a lot of, comments I've seen in the comment section, that I really like. And I think sometimes we have to start calling them and say, okay, let's use them as example. Comments made by somebody called Odion Gakan 4475. These are questions. They give you solutions and they say, oh, we agree with this or we disagree. So if we have to go by Peter Obi's assessment, does that now mean that the current government or the APC government or the Tinubu's government has devalued Nigeria's value in the market globally? So I want you all to answer this question in the comment section. These very many questions I brought because of these comments and this statement that Peter Obi made. Do you agree with his assessment? Are we currently a democracy? Do you feel threatened when you speak up? Do you believe you have a voice? Do you think that this government is working for you? Do you think that this Tinubu government is working for you? Or do you agree with Raya's comment that Tinubu, President Tinubu is a terrible president? Do you agree with that? What about your state, your governor, your legislatures? Your local government chairman and councillors, do you agree that you elected them or they were forced on you by INEC and their ways were rigged into power? Just answer these questions, okay? Let's answer this question in the comment section and let's have these debates, have these conversations, and how we can sensitize our nation to have a better country and not be used by politicians to rig themselves into power, because we will suffer it and they will keep enjoying themselves, and the country will continue to go down this road it's been going, which is into the state of anarchy, as Peter Obi said it. So as always, if you're meeting this content for the first time, please subscribe, like, and share. And also join the comments as well in the comment section and participate as well. And for those of you who've been following and not yet subscribed, so please do so. Subscribe and also participate in the commentary as well. Lend your voice to the solution that we desire in our country. But don't forget to also click on the bell icon so that you get the notifications when new videos come out as well. We need to move our country to a better direction, and we need your voice. We need your presence. So be part of the solution. As always, thank you and God bless you. Have a very blessed time. Bye-bye for now.